Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whatever time zone you may be in. This is Off the Grid Podcast with Aiden and Jared.
You know, always nice to the truth.
And we are back. And we're talking about, masculinity today.
Well, yeah.
To put it simply.
Well, technically it's masculinity and how it's declined in culture,
yes.
Honestly.
But it's something...
That made no sense, actually.
Well,
but how I said it didn't make sense, guys. We're talking about how it's been declining. Like, how men have been feeling more, like, attacked, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
That whole thing.
That's the main point of discussion tonight.
Yes.
But, we're kind of... Before we get into all that, I guess we can start with talking about, how we're coming up to a very important time in society.
Yeah.
Almost an inflection point, because, if we don't do something now, then we're possibly...
It's only going to get worse.
It's only going to get worse, yeah. We're looking at, lack of a fatherly figure in the household. I mean, you may think, oh, that's no big deal. That's, it's just, we're just trying to, make it more inclusive or whatever the buzzword is for all this. But no, what we're really concerned about is trying to preserve what has been around for thousands and thousands of years, basically since the dawn of man.
Pun intended, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of take the family unit for granted in today's world. They think, oh, well, we got to break the mold. We have to, change everything. We got to make a newer, better society. Well, it turns out that newer, better society is actually not better. It may be newer, but it's not better than what we had.
Right.
There's a reason why there's something called gender roles.
Build back broken is what I call it.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to upheave everything that we came to know as America, came to know as a human race.
I was going to say, not just America, as humanity.
Yeah, I mean, going on a broader sense, but maybe this is a stretch, I don't know. But Biden is doing the same thing with our economy. Trying to build, how did he say, build up, bottom out or something? How did he put it?
So that made no sense that only he could say.
Right, yeah. It don't.
With you?
Right, yeah. It makes sense in his head maybe, but to us, it's like, duh.
It's stupid.
Yeah, basically what he's trying to do is create socialism, and so upheaving capitalistic...
It's worse than Bernie Sanders, because it's not even well thought out. It's socialism.
Yeah. Well, trying to get rid of what we've known for, over 200 years here in America has been capitalism, and even worse so, trying to change, our society, with men being the leaders in the household, and men, are now told that you should be ashamed that you're manly.
Yeah.
And being masculine is a bad thing. Right? That's what they're pushing now.
Trans and the kids.
Yep.
Too.
So that
probably doesn't relate to what we're talking about, but that's still an issue right now.
No, Aiden, you're right. It does tie in with all that. And we're going to get into all that today. But before we get into that,
yes.
So don't forget to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't already. Our podcast is available on YouTube, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We also have a TikTok account where we post short clips from our podcast that you may have missed. And we have our own radio station as well on the Zeno Radio app called WOTG, where we have our podcast playing 24/7 on a loop. And we also go live on WOTG every so often. So
that's called OTG Headlines, right?
Yep, OTG Headlines. And that's where we basically discuss various events that have been clogging the headlines over the past week, stuff that we've been wanting to discuss.
And it also is awesome if we don't really have a topic to talk about.
Yeah.
Such as this.
But, we're trying to, get on
branch
out a little bit. And, it's hard on us every week to try to come up with a podcast to talk about.
Which is why this is a very good thing that we came up with, because it's
it allows us to just kind of relax a little bit and not so much, because for every podcast, we put a lot
There's
of
a lot of
research
prep,
into it.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we are our own producers. You know, we don't have like a group of guys.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah. You know, we're our tech department. We're our programming. You know, we do everything on our own here.
And we do it. Jared, at least, does a damn good job.
Well, thank you, my man. I appreciate that.
I do nothing but sit here and talk.
No, dude, you seriously help me out a lot because, like, you find, you know, articles really fast when I'm, you know, I could be sitting there for a hot second trying to find it, and you're like, oh, I got it. I'm like, oh, thanks, Aiden. I mean, like, I was looking for it and just couldn't find it.
Yeah, but how much of them are white?
Well, that's a whole other story.
How much of them are... Aiden, this is from NBC. Dane Bat.
I was trying to accentuate the positive. Well,
I wasn't really raised in a...
Well, I wasn't really raised in a loving home. I forgot about that. That's so funny. That was on our
gaming channel.
On our gaming channel.
That
was on that live.
It is on our YouTube though too. So.
Yeah. It was what was it? Fire Emblem we were playing.
Yes, I fought it in front of the Sophus.
We were like, it was almost like we were drinking in that episode.
Yeah, but we won. We were just tired.
It was.
Yeah, we were dying at the end. Okay, quick story, really quick. So the ending of that video's gotta be the greatest ending to any of our gaming videos that we've ever made.
Yeah.
Our minds got so dirty toward the end of it. It's a quest!
The lack of symmetry.
I did not think we'd bring that memory up.
That's weird. We didn't really talk about it at all for a long time. All of a sudden, you just brought it up.
It's in my head.
That's great.
Oh, my gosh.
Man. I'd like to get back to doing some gaming stuff every once in a while, too. But...
Yes. And I'd like some quests.
Yeah. And we were thinking two different things, but it was both, like, inappropriate. That's the funny part.
Both dirty-minded?
Both dirty-minded, but we were thinking the opposite ends there. You know what I mean?
Way to put that, Judd.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of an advertisement for you guys.
Yeah, we don't have much of these, but we are...
I felt compelled.
Yeah.
To talk about it.
But yeah...
Sorry, guys, this is appropriate, by the way. This is not...
Yeah, this has nothing to do with our...
Not advertising a condom here.
Yeah, no. Brought to you by...
McDonald's, I guess.
No.
Guys, it's the last one. The McRib is back, though.
Oh, yeah.
It just came back today, at least from my store it did. But it might be last time.
I thought you were about to say brought to you by Trojan.
The McRib brought to you by Trojan.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, and this is why we're age restricted, because YouTube decided to freaking...
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Tell them about this. What happened?
Oh, well, let me pull it up, because I forgot to... I forgot to look it up here. Hold on. Hi, Off the Grid podcast. We have reviewed your content and determined that it may not be suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Per our community guidelines, as a result, we've age restricted the following content.
And guess what podcast it was, guys?
Episode 18, Korea Part 4, Life in North Korea. We haven't applied a strike to your channel, and your content is still live for some users on YouTube.
Some?
Keep reading for more details. So what age restricted? We age restricted content when we don't think it's suitable for younger audiences.
Right.
Which we never said it was suitable for younger
we're getting
audiences.
into that. We're getting into that.
Content that sexualizes or objectifies minors is not allowed on YouTube. What? We never said anything about minors. What? Okay.
That's enough. That's enough. We didn't need anymore. Let's talk through this really quick.
I didn't even read that part of the email.
First of all.
Wait a second.
First of all.
Well, hold on a second. It says, but it's still not considered appropriate for audiences. Please note, we don't allow this type of content if we know the uploader is under 18. What, was I under 18? I wasn't under 18 when I uploaded it. I was 18 when I started the podcast. We never started it when we were under 18.
No! Okay, go back to our masculinity notes because we're gonna need those. But first of all, first thing I have to say.
Yeah.
Since when have we ever been a kid-friendly channel? First of all,
Never.
why?
We've always been pretty.
I'll let you go off now. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for the lead-in.
Yeah.
We've always been kind of, out there on things we've said. Whether that be from, we have strange, theories about different things, or we say what's on our mind. We don't censor any of our
Just look
content.
at our Pizzagate podcast.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't gone after that, because that was actually talking about, like, these politicians sexualizing minors,
Right.
and that wasn't tagged on YouTube as being inappropriate.
Don't give them ideas.
Well, now I'm kind of wondering, like, I don't know, maybe after the podcast I'll go look at it, but
maybe it was North Korea that did it to us.
I'm going to look at that episode specifically and see if we accidentally put it as made for kids. If we accidentally label, you know what I mean, where it says yes, it's made for kids, or no, it's not.
Right.
I wonder if we accidentally had that one labeled as yes, and then
we did talk about some content in there that's like pretty adult.
Yeah, so
like in terms of like violence.
Well, pretty much all of our episodes are, have adult themes in it. So if we were rated
Crimes Against Humanity, made for kids. If we made that video,
I don't know. That was a good.
Yes, it
fun
was.
Time, yeah. Anyways,
So this topic, yes.
Yeah. So
first of all, why do you think it's okay? As we always say, right, Jared? Why do you think it's important to talk about this in today's world? Why do you think it's from your point right now?
When I said at the opening, I said that men are. I feel maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just speaking from personal experience, as the left likes to say. But I feel like men are discriminated against more than any other, whatever gender you want to identify as. I feel like we're the most discriminated against. No matter what your race is, whether you're black, white, Asian, whatever, we're mostly discriminated against.
Black, white, Asian, Caucasian.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, a lot of it stems from society as a whole trying to make us men feel less masculine. Like, we're not allowed to show... we're
not allowed to be manly.
Yeah, we're not allowed to be manly. And there's a lot that goes into that, including, ways that men handle situations compared to women. It's seen like, oh, we have to handle it the way women handle it. We can't handle it the way that men usually handle it, because that's considered toxic, as we'll get into here.
Yes.
But I think we'll start out with this poll from YouGov that says only 2%, this is the headline, only 2% of men feel completely masculine, and this is compared to 56% over 65.
Of people over 65, right?
Yeah, 50. Yeah, that's what I meant. So research from YouGov shows that the I thought it said masculine.
Masculinity.
Yeah, I was like, wait a second.
Anyway.
Well, take two. Research from YouGov shows that the muscular masculinity of decades past is a fading feature of American life for the young. Let me zoom in. I'm having a hard time reading this.
Already getting old?
Yeah, this is already showing. Why can't I zoom in? Is there a way to do it? There we go. Hold on. Oh, that's better.
Americans were...
Yeah, American life for the young. Americans were asked to rate themselves on a scale of 0 to 6, where 0 is completely masculine and 6 is completely feminine. 65% of men over the age of 65 say that they are, quote, completely masculine, while only 28% of men aged 30 to 44 and 30% of men aged 18 to 29 say the same. Among under 30s, 13% put themselves halfway between the masculine and feminine, while 12% say that they're at least slightly feminine. Only 4% of over 65 men say that they are at all feminine. So it kind of shows like an age gap there in terms of, identifying as masculine, because you see, like, if you're over the age of 65, that's like the baby boomer generation you're talking about, which is, growing up in a whole different time than what we are growing up in.
Whole different society.
Yeah, I mean, attitudes toward everyday life is completely different. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're growing up in, after World War II, when they started growing up, and, that came from a very masculine time. I mean, without those masculine men in World War II, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have won. But it says women show a very similar split along age, but women are slightly less likely than men to describe themselves as atypical. 88% of American women describe themselves as feminine, compared to 82% of American men who describe themselves as masculine. Now, I bet that number is lower today than it was.
Whenever this came out?
This came out in 2016, so it's about 5 years old. So a lot can happen within 5 years, as you guys have probably noticed if you pay attention to the news. But this survey was also conducted in the UK, and this is interesting, guys. In the UK, men and women are less likely to describe themselves as completely masculine or feminine, and the age gap is even more pronounced. Among British men, 56% of over 65s describe themselves as completely masculine, only 9% lower than the U.S. among British men aged 18 to 24. However, only 2% say they are completely masculine. Dang, that's a low number, though. 2%? As completely
Something's
masculine?
wrong with the younger generation, dude. I guess us, an our range of age.
Yep. We're within the 18 to 24.
What's wrong, you think, Judd? Well,
and I guess
what's wrong with it is MeToo, right?
Yep, that's one of the many. And you want to go into this one, dude?
Yeah, so that's from Daily Mail, guys. Which I think they're a pretty good source, but
yeah.
So,
and it's a UK source, so that actually
ties in too.
Actually, really good.
So anyway, a dating expert has claimed the hashtag MeToo movement has made men across the world scared to approach women on the street for fear they'll come across as, quote, creepy or be accused of harassment. Kesla Noble, 38, from Chelsea, southwest London, an author who appeared as a coach on Celebs Go Dating in 2018, said many blokes have adopted dull, nice guy filters that actually repel women rather than attract them. It added that most women she speaks to say that they are fed up with woke men being too nice and bumbling and want a guy to take the bull by the horns and ask them out. Pretty clear cut, Judd.
Yeah, they're not, beating around the bush here.
Contrary to what leftists say they want.
Yeah.
Like, just...
Well, they think
when it comes down to it, biology wins. It's like...
Yeah, they're trying...
Well, not biology, but like, how it's been going on.
Right, yeah. And guess what? Nothing has changed on a biological level. The attitude of, like, guess what? Women still want the same thing that they've always wanted for thousands of years. Was a man that can show the woman that he can provide, that he is
he's
tough.
That he's a leader.
Yeah, I mean, hence why you always hear in college and whatnot. Now, I've never been part of that crowd because... When
they say they want the guy to ask them out, that's probably their first test.
Dude, I mean...
Like, where's your leadership?
Right,
kind of a thing.
And think about, like, how... You ever hear of, like, college parties and whatnot?
Yes!
Well, I'm not a big college party crowd.
I've never went to college, so I don't...
Right, but I'm not into that crowd. It's just not my thing. But, like, men that go to these parties, you always hear them like, oh, I got to do the dumbest,
crap. The dumbest
crap and to get women's attention. Because women like to see just men taking a risk.
Yes.
It's the risk that women like to see.
It's not so much the action, it's the...
Yeah, like...
They're taking a risk kind of a thing.
They like to see them, like, how much beers can they down, like, that shows, like, man, he's tough, he can handle, 5 beers. He can
handle a drink.
He can handle a drink, like, I know that he's just a tough guy. It just shows the toughness is what it is. So it's just
Also, there's also us that it shows, which I'll talk about later, probably toward the end. But
yeah.
But this all started, right, with this term called toxic masculinity, right? As we've said it before, right?
Yeah, this is
So what is this, Jared? What is this?
well, this is certainly a concern because this term can be
Toxic masculinity is what's ruining what I've said above.
Yeah.
The dating world.
Because it kind of the term can be used very
loosely.
Yeah, they throw the term around anytime a man says it could be just you explaining something that
Mansplaining.
Yeah, that was a whole nother thing I forgot to add to the notes, but I don't even need notes on mansplaining. I can mansplain my way through this. I can mansplain what mansplaining is.
Yes.
Let me handle this. I got this.
I don't have any. Shoot.
Boom. Anyways,
so those muscles.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So let me explain let me mansplain this mansplaining definition. So basically, mansplaining is like if you on a more easier to understand definition, because if you went to like dictionary.com, it would probably give you like mansplaining is the art of mansplaining. It's like, thanks, dictionary.
It really helped out there.
Yeah, that I should have known that was the definition. No, but what it is if you were talking to a woman and you were trying to say, well, this is really how you do, change the oil on this car,
that kind of thing. Yep.
And then the woman be like, that's mansplaining. Like, it's like, but
here's how you do it.
But the thing is, oftentimes the woman doesn't actually know how to do it. The man is actually explaining the right way to do it.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, right?
Someone will probably turned on by that too, because it's just like the knowledge is just.
Yeah, but then that kind of makes
how it should be,
right? And I catch myself doing this all the time, and thankfully my fiance doesn't call me out on it, but I mansplain all the time.
Yes.
I don't even realize it. It's just it's just this is how you really this is. Or she'll say a definition of something about, well, that's not really what it means. This is, this is based off of this,
Yes.
I don't sound like that, but,
only in your dreams, Joe.
In my imagination, that's what I sound like. I am a newsman, and I'm a news anchor tonight on Fox 8.
Why did you get British?
News anchor. I don't know.
For the Fox BBC.
Yeah. From ABC News.
I'm Joe.
Oh, wait, no. How is it? For NPR in Washington, I'm Charles Snyder. NPR's freaking.
Brought to you by Under Armour.
Brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. I hate that damn ad. Shut up.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
Coming soon to theaters. God, DVD video, man. You ever watch the ads?
Disney.
Yeah, the Disney ads.
Flipping Disney, man. Anyway, though.
Let's get back on track here, right?
Please.
I digress. Yeah, so toxic masculinity is from Psychology Today, which is a great source.
One of my favorite sites.
We cite them twice here in this podcast, but Psychology Today has a list of the quote strict rules that men live by, and this is like a societal thing.
And it's called toxic, but it's not really.
It's just being masculine in
How
general.
They explain it.
So number one, the first rule is a man should suffer physical and emotional pain in silence. Second rule, a man shouldn't seek warmth, comfort, or tenderness. 3, a man should only have the emotions of bravery and anger. Any other emotions are weaknesses. Weakness is unacceptable. 4, a man shouldn't depend on anyone. Asking for help is also weak. 5, a man should always want to win, whether in sports, work, relationships, or sex. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's toxic?
So what's your do you agree with everything, like that's what a man should be, or is that
yes. Well,
Or do you agree that we should have some more, emotion? Like, say, rule number, was it number 3 there, where it says we should only feel bravery and anger? Like, do you agree with that?
Yes. I agree with the last part of it.
What, any other emotions or weaknesses?
No, the last part. Weakness is unacceptable. I agree with that fully. But it's a weird thing being a man, because you should have all of these when you're in public. You have to put on a strong image for your family, for your spouse, for your, Judd, I'll tell you this right now. Your fiance, right? You have to do all these.
Yeah.
Most of the time. That's the difference. But we're not what? We're not robots, right?
Right.
We're human, and you will mess up, and that is okay. But this is at least how I've always thought, right? You should have all these, I think. And it's not toxic. It's how things have been. We've been what? This is just, like, we've always, weird comparison here, but, not comparison, but weird thing to say here, but might be relevant. We've always been what? Hunter-gatherers. And with that comes, I guess, bravery and anger, and how they view that as toxic.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with all these. And that it's not toxic. What do you think?
I agree with everything here to a point, but I also kind of see, like, it's okay to show other emotions. Like for instance, you watch, one of the most manliest things to do is watch football.
Yeah.
Watch your favorite sport. Watch your, favorite team play on Sunday.
Take back some chili and watch the game.
We don't just, like, for instance, for example, like, I guess these don't
Stone cold.
Yeah. I mean, these rules don't hold up for everybody, obviously. And it also doesn't hold up in every situation because, yeah, I show anger when I'm watching sports, but I also show excitement. Mm-hmm. So are we not allowed? Is excitement a weakness?
Right.
Because based on this sentence here, rule number 3.
My point in saying you should be all this all the time is when you're with either your boss or with your...
Out in public.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like you're at a restaurant or something, you're out at dinner with your family.
Yeah.
And...
some guy wants to start... Since one says it, I can say that some guy wants to start the shit.
Yeah.
Deal.
Or someone, hits on your wife.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you say, honey, just ignore that?
Or just say to him, just don't do it again. No.
Don't touch my wife again,
Yeah.
or talk to my wife like that again, or this is going, or you're going to be, kissing the ground here in a minute.
We'll talk about so much foreshadowing, but
yeah,
seriously though,
but oftentimes
people think that
in
this
that
stuff
situation,
is toxic though. It's
yeah,
like,
if so
what?
basic, so that's another thing, dude. If you
and then they complain about being raped.
So
and then they complain
when. So what?
Do you get what I'm trying to?
No, I see what you're saying.
Correlate?
They
complain about everything is what I'm trying to say, basically. Like,
so
they're mad at us for being toxic, but yet
we can't step up and defend like some girl if, like, say she was getting she was about to get raped by this guy on the street, and you saw this about to happen. Would you just watch and say, "Well, I don't want to get involved because that'd be toxic"? No, you would get in there,
but then you'd be
pummel the guy to the ground and hold him down till the cops get there.
Right.
Don't be, I'm not saying go be a vigilante, but try to,
when you see someone need
help,
step the hell in.
It's
as
just,
Jordan Peterson says, men need to grow up.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it too, of what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it. But stop sitting in your basement and playing video games all day. Get a job. Provide for your family.
That's not masculine. Playing video games.
Not all day.
Not all day.
It's definitely not masculine.
Yeah,
now, we're humans, so we're allowed to have interests, but yeah.
But
no, be a man. Grow up. Like, get a job. Provide for your family.
The thing is, your interest...
Get shit done.
And the thing is, I agree with everything you just said, Aiden. And also, I'd like to add that, when you're in school, growing up, you're under the age of 18. Don't take us off YouTube. Your interests are different than, when you're over the age of 18.
That's when you're a boy. That's when you're that's well said. I think I just said that well.
Yeah.
You're a boy.
You're a boy at that time. You do, you play football for your high school team. You go hang out on a Friday night, going bowling, going to a movie.
I mean, that's what we're doing right now, but I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But the difference is added responsibility.
We have to put our priorities first, meaning what our priorities are is having a job,
yes,
making a living.
Yes. Making money. Let's be specific.
Heck, if we were able to make a living doing this podcast, then
yes,
that would be the best.
On that right away.
That would be the best of both worlds, right there, because we'd be doing what we love and also making money off of it.
Sometimes you got to take the crappy jobs.
Yep, I agree with that fully, and that's the struggle I'm going through right now with my career field is taking the crappy jobs and just trying to make it by until something comes up, and that's also part of being manly. It's like you just got to do what.
Suck it up. I mean, I'm sorry that's a cliche, but it's true. Like,
there's things that's what men do. Like, look, dude, let me bring it back down to earth for what I'm dealing with. So, like, I'm engaged now.
Yeah.
And my concern...
Congrats.
Thanks, dude.
I've said that a ton of times already off air, but...
I appreciate that. But my concern now...
Speaking of, did we? We did. Okay.
What, the live light?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually forgot to do that for the past couple of recordings, but
that's good.
And I feel bad about that because I forget it back there.
Good. They can't even see it. Oh wait, yes, I can.
Yeah, you can. But anyways, what I was saying is it's my priorities change. I went from okay, I have a girlfriend. I've been with her for 5 years, and then I get engaged, and then
getting real now.
And then it's like, okay, well, I got to consider, I got to. Work my ass off.
Yep.
As I've been doing. I mean, it's not like I haven't, but...
No, but kicking into high gear.
Kicking into high gear, try to make the money, try to get my career going that I went to school for.
Yep.
So that I can provide for my family someday. That we can buy a house. We can, raise a family. We can, do things that a married couple does.
Yeah. What they're supposed to do.
What they're supposed to do. So, so we can get the things in life that we want out of it. But my priorities change, like, from, dude, I grew up so much, and you probably have felt the same way. You've grown up so much since high school. I mean, you got to think how far we've come, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the sense of, like...
We've had wins, but we've also had trauma.
Dude,
both of us.
Yeah, I mean, think how stupid we were in high school. I mean, we're dumb. I mean, sorry, past self, but you were kind of dumb. Like, dude, we were so ignorant to politics and stuff. Like,
not just politics, but like, dude, like
life in general.
A couple of things have happened this month that have month and a half that have completely changed my priorities. I'm throwing them out the window.
Yeah. I mean, and also with politics, like, dude, you and me didn't start getting into politics until about the 2016 election.
Yeah.
And when Trump got into office, we started to take up interest in politics. We started to notice. And just like many other Americans have noticed, they started voting for the first time in 2016.
Yeah.
Because they supported Trump.
Yes.
And they hated Hillary. A combination there.
Yes.
But yeah, all that being said,
bringing it back to masculinity, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's our job as men to...
Doing this stuff is not toxic.
Yeah.
Again, it's actually quite the opposite. There was a video I saw. We don't need less masculinity, we need more of it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more of it.
And we're going to play that video today, too. Make Men Masculine again is the video title.
Yes.
So is there any other comments on that man rules for toxic masculinity? I mean, I know we touched on the third one. I think
I have trouble with number 4.
What's that? A man shouldn't depend on anyone. Asking for help is also weak.
The last one. Particularly at work. I feel like...
Wait, number 5 you have a problem with?
No, at work I have a problem with number 4.
Oh.
At work I have a problem with asking for help. Because this is how I perceived it. I've been ways to... Now, it could be one with how my family raised me, but I was thinking about how they did. But I think I've always been ways to be like, listen, handle this yourself. Like, this is... What are you supposed to do? And
I mean,
I'm overloaded at work. It's like
I'm the same way. Like I try to handle things on my own, and this is the same way when I was over at Giant Eagle. Like
see, most of me have autism because it's like,
well, dude, like
you just can't.
Well, dude,
I need what's called support, and it's like
okay. So
like to admit it,
can I tell you a story real quick?
Do it.
So when I was working at Giant Eagle, which is a grocery chain, if you guys are not from Ohio or Pennsylvania, I was a coordinator there, so I was, on the front end. I was making sure the cashiers got their breaks on time and that we had enough registers running. But there was days when there wasn't enough employees to help out. And, oftentimes we'd be backed up. We'd have lines going down the freezer aisle, and the only thing I could do is play 2 roles at the same time. I had to manage the self-checkout and check out people in the checkout lane.
You're overloaded.
Yeah, so I had to run back and forth, and oftentimes I handled it myself. I didn't ask for, someone to come help out.
Yeah.
I did if I could, but a lot of times I had to handle it on my own and do 2 jobs at once.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if...
I've experienced with that.
Yeah.
Recently, even. I've been talking to Jed about my work experience recently, but it's been that way for... almost a year.
Yeah. I mean, this is, it's just in the work environment, especially. I mean, sometimes yeah, maybe it's toxic of me, but I don't like to ask for help sometimes. Yeah. I like to try to handle stuff on my own. That was the same way in school. I didn't want to ask the teacher. I wanted to try doing it on my own. And then if it absolutely came to it where I just could not do it and it came to that point, I would ask. Yeah. But, I think with everybody, it doesn't have to be a man or it could be a woman too. I think, the woman should try doing it too on her own. I think it stands for everybody.
Even more so with men though, I think. I
agree with that, yeah.
And how can you be a leader if you ask for help all the time is what people think.
Right. Yeah. There's no way that you can be... Unless you look at it from, I ask the question so I understand, and then I can become a leader because I know more.
That's called being an apprentice, yeah, kind of a thing.
Yeah. But if you never retain any of that information that you get...
It'll be impossible.
You will never become a leader. And you'll be continually asking the same damn questions over and over again.
Yes.
Which is a lot of employees that I've worked with before.
Well, it doesn't work, though. It's just also with everything.
Yeah. You got to learn.
Yes.
And also, let's see. I got one other thing I'm going to talk about on this. I don't know. Number 1 can be.
Oh, don't even get me started on
that's hard. That's a hard one.
That hurts. Let's talk about it, dude. Because I want you to talk about it.
Well, my view on this is that
I didn't really have enough
for you guys that can't, for you guys that aren't looking at the screen and are on our audio podcast, but a man should suffer physical and emotional pain in silence. That's number 1.
It's the second one that hurts the most. Not physical pain, because I'm actually pretty
tolerable to pain.
High tolerance. I'm very high pain tolerance. I get a 2nd degree burn in it. I'm working like nothing matter. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Let's go and that's it. It's like I have a pretty damn high pain tolerance. It's the second one.
Yeah, there's some days where you beat yourself up at work and you're just like barely.
Whatever.
Like it's like you're beating yourself up, which is the dumb part. It's like
it's adrenaline. Though it's adrenaline.
Yeah. But
Yeah, it's like
the problem I have with 1 and 2 there, I guess, is that you pointed out, Aiden, but the physical and emotional pain in silence. That could be a problem if you don't. I feel like, okay, so I have a problem with talking to, like, my fiance was like, well, why don't you just go ahead and talk to, like, a psychologist or something? It's like, why do I need to go to a psychologist? Like, I don't need to. I'm like, there was just randomly, like, just because I was stressed or whatever, I was just, kind of talking about all my
problems,
all my stresses right now because, I'm trying to get the job I want and it's not going my way. And, I'm getting pissed, honestly. And so I was just explaining my situation to her. And, just like with every relationship, you're supposed to,
be able to talk about these things.
Talk about these things. Now, should you be talking to random people?
No.
Yeah, at work about your struggles? No. That needs to be kept between you and your loved one. Whether,
family or spouse or whatever.
Or whatever. So physical and emotional pain in silence. So say if you did not talk to your wife or girlfriend about your physical and emotional pain, it'll get to a point where you could become suicidal.
Yep.
And we saw some. I don't think we have anything in the notes about.
I'm going to talk about this next. Maybe this could be a sequel to this.
Yeah.
Men's mental health.
Because that's also part of this whole masculinity thing and being, we're not allowed to show our masculine side. It takes a toll on men mentally because we feel like we can't, be men, and we feel suicidal and, the suicide rates are really high for men right now. Heck, dude, we did a whole podcast on suicide forests.
Yeah.
And guess what? Majority of men
went
out to suicide forests and killed themselves because they were, they're working endless hours at their job. They had to take the toll, the burden on themselves, as being, well, I got to be the provider. I can't, it's like, dude, you need to talk about this with, your wife
again, you know what? We're not age restricted, so I can say this.
Go ahead.
Cross my heart. We popped out of the vagina as a man, so because of that, we have all these burdens placed on our shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? It takes a toll on us mentally, is what.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you're going through tough times and, like, say your family is struggling financially, and the man usually has to bear the burden of this financial stress, so that he's trying to hold everyone together, trying to hold the family together. We're stressing out that we can't afford food, we can't afford, car repairs or whatever, or your kid's soccer practice, you can't afford that because that, that costs money too.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, whatever you can't afford these extracurricular stuff.
Something that we love doing.
And so men are seen as, we got to hold it together, stoic, I guess is a good term.
Stoicism.
We gotta hold it together. We gotta say, no worries, honey. I got this. Things will get better.
And then you go into your room for 5+ hours and you lose it.
But you gotta hold tight. You gotta hold yourself together during,
when you're around others.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be that way if you're alone.
And with your family, yeah, you gotta explain. You can't hide from your wife that you're having financial trouble, obviously. But you also got to stay confident and like, yeah, we got this, honey. No worries. We'll get through this. This may be tough right now.
When you're out of the house, if you want to break something, do it. Like,
hey, they have those
alone in the house.
They
rage
have
rooms, yeah.
Yeah, they have rage rooms. So that's a new thing. So that might be an idea for those men out there that need to get need to get their anger out. People are like, oh, go talk to a psychologist. Men don't want to do that. I'm sorry.
Men want to smash shit.
That's the way to get, that raw emotion out.
Catharsis.
Yeah. That's what, that I think is a better thing for men.
Yes.
But anyways,
so there's also something that's less talked about, right?
Yeah, it's so we kind of wonder, okay, so men are always labeled as being toxic, or whatever. But what about on the other side of that, femininity, that could also be toxic too. So I didn't even know this was a term because no one talks about this. I mean, all the woke college students never say, oh, that's toxic femininity. No one says that. They always say toxic masculinity. It's always against the man. It's never against...
It's always against the man, man.
It's always against the man. Come on, man. Yeah. Come on, man.
Bruh.
Anyway, though, so what is this list? Because this is also my psychology today. This list is actually kind of funny.
You want to read this one, Ian?
No, I want you to.
Okay.
Because I won't stop laughing.
A woman won't let herself eat anything but a salad while on a date. Every sweater in a woman's closet is thinner and frailer than any in a man's possession.
This doesn't
I
make
don't
any
understand
sense.
the second
This doesn't
one.
make sense.
I don't understand that second one. When a parent...
I don't understand any of these.
Yeah, I mean, when a parent insists on piercing the ears of a moments-old girl baby to ensure she looks ornamented and sufficiently pretty, having a lengthy and complicated nightly facial care routine is essential.
I kind of understand that one.
Yeah, they got
Just
like
by feeling
15.
about it,
They
yeah.
have like 15 bottles they got to put on their face before bed. It's like,
Yeah, it's like... Well, before we get ready for some, Dad's like, honey, you're coming downstairs. 15 minutes later.
so next time my fiance is putting on like, all these like face wash stuff, I'm gonna say that's toxic femininity right there, and then just walk out.
Just drop the mic.
That's toxic femininity right there. That's like kind of wrong. Use one face wash per night.
Not 2.
Yeah.
Not 15.
Why?
Jeez, girl, how clear do you need to be?
And like,
I don't...
that's a whole thing. It's like, and that's, well, I talked to my fiance once because when we went out to, on our first date, our very first date as a couple was at an Italian restaurant, and she got like a small, bowl or food or whatever instead of getting the normal size because she didn't want to, come across as like, oh, I could eat a lot, kind of thing.
She also probably didn't want to make a mess.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Now we fart and, poop and stuff around each other. And it's like, no problem.
What? And let out a stinky.
Yeah, not a stinky. But yeah, honestly though, does any man want a woman that just eats salad on a date? I mean, come on.
That's not hot.
No, I want my woman.
I want a
to
woman to shoot deer and...
I want my woman
to get
eating
over the fire.
a sirloin with,
Yes.
with a baked potato.
Yes.
Like I don't want
And throw a whip sandwich on there while you're at it.
Yeah, I want her digging into some ribs at Texas Roadhouse or something.
And not just mine.
Whoa!
I had to. That opportunity laid itself right there. I would fun
Oh my god! I don't even want to know what you got in your mind. It's crazy
kid.
Yeah, I'm a man.
And Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Why are you clicking, Judd?
What am I clicking?
Never mind. It's gone now. It's gone now.
Okay.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, there's more. Oh.
But wait, there's more.
I didn't scroll down enough. If buying a gift for a woman, they reach for something soft, sweet, and non-threatening. That last word, non-threatening. What is so threatening to a woman?
Wait, you're not making sense, Judd.
Well, like that whole sentence don't make any sense. But it says they reach for something soft, sweet, and non-threatening. What do you mean by threatening? Like they reach for a gun? Or like, yeah, honey, I want this bow and arrow to go hunting. Is that what it's talking about? I want something soft and kind of sweet.
Just give me a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
No, a Nerf bow and arrow.
Barbie's day out at the mall.
Barbie's day at the range.
Yeah. Barbie's Day at no, I'm not going there.
Do
That's
it,
dark.
please. Dude, well, uncensored.
As a Barbie's Day at the local high school.
Oh my gosh.
See, yeah, that's why I didn't want to say it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think we need to read all this, but this does have far less media attention, though, than toxic masculinity, and that's a reason they have an agenda, and that's to push masculinity out the door.
So, but I did want to read, the reason why I copied and pasted this one paragraph here was because it seemed kind of important. So it says, it's in the same article, far less media or academic attention has been devoted to toxic femininity than to toxic masculinity. Indeed, in response to her readers, freelance journalist Katie Anthony raised the question, is toxic femininity a thing? She proposed that there is no simple answer because in our society, femininity is not highly prized and is thus inconsequential. If it exists in men, then it is punishable. Hence, femininity is inherently toxic. What do you get from that? Because that's kind of like a very confusing...
Yeah, I don't...
I understand why you would not have an answer right away for that, because that is
Can you help me?
Well, I'm still trying to understand it myself, but she says in the same sentence, she contradicts herself a little bit, because she says that femininity is not highly prized and is thus inconsequential, but then she also says, hence, femininity is inherently toxic. I don't understand what, if it exists in men, then it is punishable. But what does that have to do with the toxic femininity? You know what I mean?
I think it's all going back to the point that we're trying to make, which that's not as... They make masculinity a bigger deal than this.
So she's saying that it's... So since toxic masculinity is wrong, then femininity is inherently wrong as well?
Yeah.
And I would have to disagree with her,
right?
Because if we're taking the case, and you and me are, we're taking the stance that toxic masculinity is not a thing. It's just that's how men are. But if we're gonna flip it on its head and say, well, okay, well, if toxic femininity is a thing, then it's not a thing, because toxic femininity is just being feminine.
Yeah.
You know, so all these points up here are not as serious as what the men's list was, but it's stuff that, yeah, women...
They're both not serious is our point.
Right, but, you know, some of these here are kind of silly, but yeah, this is some things that women deal with. You know, like going out on the first date and, you know, only eating a salad. And then the man's, you know, ordering a cheeseburger and fries and, you know, a milkshake, and the woman's just having a salad and water. You know, yeah, I mean, I see that, but that's just, you know, that's just the females. They try to be like, oh, I'm petite. I only eat just small meals. You know, I don't eat a whole lot. Yeah, I'm vegan. You know. And women are not allowed to have anything but...
No, wear camouflage.
Yeah. Well, you know, women are not the ones that are carrying guns and not the ones that are...
I think that's hot, actually, first of all, personally.
Yeah.
If women knows how to shoot.
Oh, heck yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything on the masculinity and femininity stuff. Next, we have, of course, we were going to talk about Jordan Peterson tonight. Because he's been a big advocate for men that are labeled as being toxic, and you know, he is their voice. You know, because a lot of men like you and me, you know, straight white men, or not even, it doesn't even have to be white, just straight men in general, you know, are put upon, and Jordan Peterson is one of the guys that actually advocates for men being men. He has a podcast. Amen. He has a men. Amen. He has a men's podcast up over that's kind of talks about masculinity and stuff. It's over on the Daily Wire, because now he's part of Daily Wire. Yep. And so all of his podcasts all of his podcasts are now available on that platform, which I still want to listen to all of his podcasts just because.
Have you listened to some of them?
Huh?
Have you listened to some of them already?
A little bit. I just haven't had time.
Yeah.
But when I can, I'm gonna check it out.
You gotta read his books too.
Yeah.
12 Rules for Life was one of my favorites.
And that was a whole nother thing too, is like kind of a side note. It doesn't really have to do with anything with this podcast tonight, but I haven't really been able to read as much as I want, for a long time now. It's just
busy life.
It's busy life, yeah. And sometimes it's like video games. It's like sometimes you would rather play video games than read a book. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Delude your brain than build your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of a thing for me. It's like I would like to get back into reading more because, it's better for your brain than obviously watching TV or playing a video game.
Social media.
Yeah. So I'd like to, if I have to start, if I get back into reading more, I would start with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And
get 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. I recommend that.
Okay. I'll check that out then. Mm-hmm. So the first video, Jordan Peterson talks about masculinity. This is at the this was with the Daily Wire. They were at a backstage, which is like a paid. It's like you got to be the top tier membership at the Daily Wire to be able to view this.
Yeah.
Which I'm not. I'm like the second tier. So I don't usually have access to these.
Anyway.
But yeah, here's the clip of Jordan Peterson.
I can play the full thing, but we'll play enough to
get the idea.
Yeah.
Obviously, this new series, Dragons, Monsters, Men, the first one that we're doing together, this series is focused in on how men can be men. Why do you think there is such a crisis of masculinity in the first place, and why are there so many people out there who are angry at you for even talking to men?
Well, I think you could think about it as a consequence, in some sense, of the lack of a concept of original sin, oddly enough. I mean, people bear an existential burden, It's an intrinsic part of life to, I suppose, to feel guilty in relationship to nature and to feel guilty in relationship to culture. It's difficult for us to live in harmony with the natural world, and for the natural world to live in harmony with us, by the way. And none of us are all we could be on the social front. And one of the consequences, and so we have that sense intrinsically, that there's a lack in us that needs to be redressed. And unfortunately, that can be weaponized and has been. And what I see happening to young men in particular, boys as well, not just young men, and maybe even, maybe starting at the age of toddlers, is that we have this sense in the world that human beings live in antagonism to nature and that we're actually a malevolent force. And that our social structures, which are clearly capable of the commission of atrocity, are fundamentally oppressive, patriarchal in their nature. And so then if you're a male in a society with that ethos, the motive force that drives you into the world to live is associated with rapaciousness and despoliation on the natural front, and then oppression and atrocity on the social front. It's like, well, then, if you're the least bit conscientious, because this sort of accusation hurts conscientious young men the most, then the best you can do is, well, let's say castrate yourself. How would that be? And that would be real comical, except that it's also happening. So I guess that's why I think there's a crisis. And there's something serious at the root of it, right? Because we do have to take the fact of our...
Sorry, guys.
That's just Candace
Owens.
It's
just interesting so far, guys.
Yeah.
The potential damage we can do to the natural world and the social world, we have to take that seriously. But the proper consequence of taking that seriously is not to commit harikiri, let's say, in a fit of moral anxiety and take yourself completely out of the game. But that's the insistence now, and it's really, and I see that psychoanalytically, I see that as a manifestation at a symbolic level of something like, well, symbolically, that's associated with the devouring mother, right? It's an overweening and destructive false compassion that has this devouring quality. And that's basically where we're at. So
it's one of the things that's striking about the sort of hatred that you've gotten from so many is that you've literally been asked why you're even bothering to speak to men. I mean, there is this crisis of masculinity, right? There is this idea that every form of masculinity is toxic. And you've spent your life trying to talk to men and say, no, you can channel that masculinity in not only a good way, but a necessary and productive and useful way. And people gotten angry at you for this. Where do you think that's coming from? Why? That's obviously a good thing that you're doing. Why are so many people upset with you for that?
Well, the thing is, I never really set out to talk to men specifically, but I did set out, at least in part, to make a case for the utility of both the feminine and the masculine spirit, and it turned out that making the case for the masculine spirit was something that was more demanded
needed
by the culture, let's say. The anger, that's a complicated issue. We touched on some of it in relationship to the despoiling of nature and the idea of the oppressive and atrocity committing patriarchy. But then there's another issue, too, which I think is germane. Because of family fragmentation, there's a very large number of women who have, just like there's a very large number of men who have never had a real word of encouragement in their whole life. It's a really sad thing to see. It's a really, really sad thing to see that deeply and to have seen that reflected in so many thousands of people. But there are many women who've never had a positive relationship with anyone male in their life. And so one of the consequences of that, we know, for example, that younger women are more likely to be attracted to men who show dark triad traits, narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic. And people who have those traits are characterized by the mimicry of competence. And so what women want in men more than anything else is competent generosity, and the data on that are very clear. But you can mimic that if you're narcissistic, and if you're a young woman, you can be deluded by that. It's partly because it points to the problem of dissociating competent confidence from the expression of power per se. So we could call power, I'll define that as the willingness and ability to use compulsion to attain your aims. Now, if you are someone who has a proclivity to manifest power, then that looks like the manifestation of both ambition and will. And if you haven't had a positive relationship with anyone masculine in your life, and maybe not even with your own internal masculinity, say, you can't discriminate between power and the ambition that serves competence. And so because that's terrifying, because the power, if you have had only negative relationships with men, their capability to use power becomes such a threat that it has to be opposed at all costs, even if it manifests itself within the developmental pathway of your own son. And so some of that's familial breakdown, and then you have a multi-generational pattern of that makes it even worse. And so that's definitely part of it. There's an ideological drum that's being beaten constantly, both on the sociological constructivist front, right? That's the oppressive patriarchy, and then on the environmental front. And then you add to that the fact that, well, on the leftists, especially the radical types, their whole damn doctrine, it's the most pathological doctrine you could invent if you set out to invent a pathological doctrine. And I mean that.
It's
I'm
a
not making a
pathological
joke.
lot.
I really mean that in the deepest possible sense.
Yes.
The notion that the fundamental human motivation is the willingness and ability to use compulsion, power. It's all about power. And every time I hear that now from someone, I think, that is not a sociological observation. That is a confession on your part. And it's also just complete bloody nonsense. I mean, you all know this. You have friends because they're compelled to be your friends? That's definitely not how you have friends. You might have bully henchmen that way, but you don't have friends. power is an extraordinarily unstable basis to establish a marriage on. Plus, it just doesn't work because it turns out that women who are so annoying are very difficult to oppress. So you can try, but it's not that easy. And I don't think that we've been all that historically successful in doing so. But it's also a preposterous proposition.
His lectures are so fun, Joe. Let me just say.
Because
I need to listen to more of.
No, like actually being there, I'm saying. It
does not produce intimacy or a relationship. The best it can produce is like a combination of tyranny and slavery, and that does not characterize the institution of marriage per se. So there is this insistence among the radicals that power is the fundamental motivation, and then you think too, okay, you're only motivated by power. That means that we can only get along if our interests align, because if you're motivated by power and I'm motivated by power and our interests don't align, and there's nothing else but power, then the only option I have is to turn you into an enemy and try to destroy you, because we can't engage in dialogue. That's dialogos. And the reason we can't engage in dialogue is because there's no logos. There's just power.
Pause that really quick.
So there's no such...
I do disagree with him on one thing, though.
What's that?
Values do matter, though. I mean, as I'm sure he believes, obviously, but
yeah,
I just wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Aligning values do matter. I just
right.
want to point that out really quick. Sorry.
You're good.
Why it's a good thing for conservatives to understand. You have to understand that the debate about free speech on campus, in the deepest sense, is not a debate about who should be allowed to speak freely. That's nothing. That's a trivial debate. You can even understand it in some sense. If I don't agree with you, maybe I don't want you to talk. But the debate is about something much deeper, which is whether or not the idea of free speech itself is just a mask developed essentially by Europeans to justify the oppressive patriarchy in the most devious possible way. And the answer the radicals have to that question is yes, that's exactly what it is. And so there's no free speech whatsoever. That's an illusion that's promulgated by people who are only trying to justify their claim to power.
Yes.
That's what the bloody argument is about.
Yeah.
And I just think all of that's
bloody bloke.
It's wrong in every way. It's wrong theologically. It's wrong psychologically.
Yes.
It's wrong scientifically. Even chimpanzees who have a patriarchal social structure, they're so...
Sorry, that
that's
guy's
the way I want to end it, Joe, or what?
Yeah, I guess that's about it. I mean, you guys get the idea.
Finish this thought, though, first.
Okay.
Social structures, if they are based on power, on compulsion, they're unstable, and the alpha chimps who use power are very likely to meet an extraordinarily brutal and premature end. So Frans de Waal, the Dutch primatologist, has detailed out this wonderfully. He's shown that even among our closest biological relatives, it's the ability to make peace and to engage in reciprocal interactions that constitutes the basis for a stable polity, even among chimps. And it's obviously the case that that's the proper basis for social relations, especially among free people. I've been trying to puzzle out, especially in my lecture tour recently, what the antithesis to power is, or to the will to power, let's say, in terms of arbitrary compulsion. And it's something like the spirit of free and voluntary play. And that's a wonderful thing to know. It's so optimistic when you guys are talking about autism.
Pause that for a second. We'll get into that in the next topic because that ties in with...
So I think that's probably all we need for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a good way to end that. Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful from
Epic.
Jordan Peterson.
Yes. What do you got to think about that, Judd?
That was, I mean, everything he says just, for the most part, makes perfect sense.
Yes.
As you got to listen closely, with what he says.
You got to put your thinking cap on for
a
lot of his talks.
Yeah, because it's not like you can just idly listen because, he uses big words, So oftentimes you can...
Something these leftists don't like.
So, yeah, well, and also...
Well, they claim to like it, but...
Right, but also you can kind of get...
off track if you're not listening intently.
Yeah, so you got to be active listener, so... But yeah, that's an important guy to listen to if you
feeling invalidated as a man.
Yeah, and he has, I believe, his podcast about is is something about monsters and men. Dragons, monsters, and men. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that is where he talks about masculinity.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
His favorite quote of mine from that so far is, "You should be an absolute monster, but you should keep it under control." It's like, amen to that. Like,
yeah. Like, don't let the monster inside of you,
inappropriately come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, use it in the right times. You don't use it like Vladimir Putin taking over Ukraine in his bathtub.
Right.
See what I did there? Yeah.
Yes. Stop. That's all we need to say, John.
Yeah. I'm not going to go any farther.
Anyway.
Oh, God.
So.
Oh, great heavens!
So we got one more video for you guys, right?
Yeah, so this is Make Men Masculine.
From you guys don't bash us. We just like this channel.
Why would they bash us?
Because it said that it's one-sided.
Oh.
Figure is one-sided. Anyway, though.
Yeah. Anyways, here you go.
Play the freaking button.
Sorry.
Rape, murder, war. They all have one thing in common. Men. Aggression, violence, ambition unchecked by conscience. All the stuff of toxic masculinity, right? And the solution is obvious. Make men less toxic. Make men less masculine. Make men more like women. But I'm here to tell you that way of thinking is not only wrong, it's dangerous. Here's why. When you try to make men more like women, you don't get less toxic masculinity. You get more. Why? Because bad men don't become good when they stop being men. They become good when they stop being bad. Aggression, violence, and unbridled ambition can't be eliminated from the male psyche.
Amen.
They can only be harnessed. And when they are harnessed, they are tools for good, not for harm. The same masculine traits that bring destruction also defeat tyranny. The traits that foster greed also build economies. The traits that drive men to take foolish risks also drive men to take heroic risks. The answer to toxic masculinity isn't less masculinity. It's better masculinity. And we know what that looks like. It's a young man opening the door for a girl on their first date. It's a father working long hours to provide for his family. It's a soldier risking his life to defend his country. The growing problem in today's society isn't that men are too masculine. It's that they're not masculine enough.
Amen.
When men embrace their masculinity in a way that is healthy and productive, they are leaders, warriors, and heroes. When they deny their masculinity, they run away from responsibilities, leaving destruction and despair in their wake. The consequences can be seen everywhere. 1 in 4 fathers now lives apart from his children. And children who grew up without a dad are generally more depressed than their peers who have a mother and a father. They are at far greater risk for incarceration, teen pregnancy, and poverty. 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. Of all the rocks upon which we build our lives, family is the most important. And we are called to recognize and honor how critical every father is to that foundation. That was said by then Senator Barack Obama in 2008. If we are honest with ourselves, he went on, we'll admit that too many fathers are missing from too many lives and too many homes. As much as we try to deny the need for real masculine strength in society, there's no denying its necessity. Healthy families and strong communities depend on the leadership and bravery of good men. Yet, the current trend is to feminize young men in the hopes of achieving some utopian notion of equality and peace. And it starts at the earliest ages. In the school classroom, boys are invariably the problem. On the playground, aggressive games like dodgeball have long been banished. We tell young men that their intrinsic desire to compete is wrong. Everybody gets a trophy. Don't run up the score.
Oh, crap.
This anti-male tilt continues on through higher education and into the workplace. It has created millions of tentative men, unhappy women, and confused boys and girls. Here's a secret that every woman knows. Women want real men. Men they can count on and, yes, look up to. No amount of feminist theory will change that. I don't know any woman at any age who is attracted to a passive man who looks to her to be his provider, protector, and leader. Every woman I know wants a strong, responsible man. That's not a consequence of a social construct or cultural pressure. It's innate. The devaluation of masculinity won't end well because feminine, passive men don't stop evil. Passive men don't defend, protect, or provide.
Amen.
Passive men don't lead. Passive men don't do the things we have always needed men to do for society to thrive. In his book, The Abolition of Man, English social philosopher C.S. Lewis writes about this problem. He describes the tension between cerebral man and visceral man. By his intellect, Lewis explains, man is mere spirit, and by his appetite, mere animal. We need both. Take away one, and you're left with a man who's either weak or wicked. And in a world of wickedness, weak men are nothing more than enablers of wicked men. Rape, murder, war. They all have two things in common. Bad men who do the raping, murdering, and warring, and weak men who won't stop them.
And let me pause that for a second, because
I think that's a good way to end. I think it just ended though. So
yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. But commenting on that last point they made, with like bad men, you know, like raping, murdering, and all that.
That doesn't. First of all, that doesn't make you a man, I think.
Right, and they like to say that, oh, well, that's, you know, that's masculinity
Run amok.
That's that toxic masculinity that we talk about.
That's not masculine.
That's not masculine. That's
not feminine either. That's just evil.
It's just evil, yeah. Because guess what? Women do the same stuff to a certain point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can murder people.
Yeah.
Heck, they can rape people too. That's possible, even though that, you know, you don't hear it as much, but it does happen.
Men do get abused.
Yeah.
You just don't hear about it as often.
Yeah, because again, that's all, you know, what's that other thing?
It's part of their agenda, dude.
Yeah, because we're not allowed to be. Well, and also, they're not allowed to talk about how, oh, men are being abused in a relationship. It's always the women, they're the ones being abused.
Always believe the woman is what they say.
So going back to the MeToo as well, you know, like, you know, that's, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but like the dating world, you know, thank God I'm not in the dating world anymore, but, you know, like, sorry. Aiden.
So pray for me, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the dating world is difficult because, you know, you could, being serious here for a moment, like, if you think this girl that you just passed, you know, walking at Walmart or wherever, you see her and, you know, like, man, I got to talk to her and, like, see if I can get her number, like, and possibly go out on a date, that'd be great. Well, if you try going up and say, hey, can I have your number? They might be like, whoa, you know, that's toxic, you know, like, that's, you know.
Don't be a creep.
They're going to be blowing, they're going to be blowing the rape whistle or something on you.
Yeah.
You know, to be on
harassment.
To be on a more dramatic note, but yeah, seriously, men are afraid to approach women
nowadays,
and ask them if, you know, they can go on a date or whatever, and you can't compliment women, you know. So if you were to compliment some girl that say, oh, you know, you have beautiful hair, or your hair looks really beautiful today, or something like that, it would be seen as, oh, that's, you know, sexual, you know, unwanted sexual advancement or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it would be, oh, this man's trying to, you know, he's saying sexual things to me, and, you know, you can't just compliment. You can't talk.
Right.
You're walking on eggshells every time you're talking to, you know, a woman that you're interested in.
Right.
And, like, say if you...
Why do you think men let women approach them now?
Right.
Mostly.
And that doesn't usually work well. Because women like the men to take initiative.
It's annoying, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and women secretly don't.
I feel bad for them, too, because now they gotta drop so many hints.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, the thing is.
It needs to be that way. It's like.
Well, the man's like, here's the problem. You're not having that connect with the relationships because the man's like, okay, well, if I approach this woman and ask her out, she's going to think I'm trying to make a sexual advancement. and but then also, so then he was like, well, I'll go ahead and I'll wait for her to make an advance move.
Don't do that.
And then she's gonna be like, why isn't he making any move?
Yep.
It's like, because you will start, he thinks that you're going to start
some dumb crap.
Yeah. He's going to think that you're going to start accusing him of sexual assault.
This is what we think, guys. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone that's listening, that's why we're scared. It's like,
yeah, and
it's not on any one person's fault. It's just how
society's going now.
Yeah.
And say if you manage to get in a relationship with this girl and this supposed girl, then and you like have consensual sex, like, is she gonna accuse you later of rape?
Get out of my head, seriously.
And you'd be like, well, that was consensual. And it's like, and she's like, no, you didn't, we didn't consent to this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad because, and men are going to be like, well, I'm not going to risk going on, some men, I don't do this crap, or never did, but, some men went on Tinder or whatever, and those are mostly hookup sites. So you just kind of, do a one night stand kind of thing and, then move on to the next thing. But, that's really risky for men.
Yeah.
On, and obviously on more levels than one, but one first level being...
It's a moral.
Huh?
In a moral perspective, first of all, that's one.
That's one. And then second, if you do that, you're putting yourself at risk for people accusing you of sexual assault.
Also, physically, your body.
Yeah.
STDs, I mean...
Yeah.
Be blunt.
Yeah, to be obvious there, but, everyone should know that you're at risk for that if you're, being promiscuous.
Right. If you're prevaricating.
Yeah.
As my family would say.
That's funny. But yeah, what else do you got to say about that video? Do you agree with everything?
It's amazing, yeah. I agree with it fully.
I mean, make men
masculine
again.
And I thought the abbreviation was mama at first, but
mama.
So, Joan, I want you to read this last one, even though I found the article, because I want you to...
Triple MA.
Put gay in an ant?
Yeah.
So, speaking of...
Yeah. So something that's manly, right?
Right. Well, to end
in pop culture.
So something that's not only manly in pop culture, but something that really inspired, as Jordan Peterson did.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a movie that came out in 1999. I'm sure you guys already know what it is. It inspired a lot of men to just look at their own lives and just take the reins. And that movie is Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen it, Joe. Have you seen it?
I don't think so.
We've got to watch it. It has Edward Norton in it and Brad Pitt.
Okay.
I think you might know both of them, but
yeah.
So anyway, so it's an article about how it describes masculinity and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it says there are terms that we use a lot these days that we didn't back in 1999 when the film Fight Club was made. Toxic masculinity is one of them. So was incel and so was gaslighting.
And sorry, stop you real quick, but incel, that was the term that that guys will identify as an incel if they...
What is that? I'm sorry.
Let me look up the definition, so maybe it's... So then maybe they'll do a better explanation.
That's really quick, because I want to...
Sorry. Sometimes incels is an ideology, an online subculture, an identity, an online community.
Displays of sexual romantic frustration. Okay.
So it's like if men don't get anywhere with women, they will identify as an incel. And they often follow Jordan Peterson a lot. And he's like...
No! That explains a lot! Oh, no!
You're an incel, my guy.
No! I mean, that's true. That's why I love the movie so much.
Joining us on Off the Grid podcast is Aiden Incel Griffith. Your the nickname is Incel. That's your new nickname.
Put it on my forehead, just...
Yeah.
But I didn't put it in mark.
We're gonna put it backwards on your forehead, so when you're like driving in the car, someone in front of you will be able to see the word. It'll be like ambulance. You know?
Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so I can't get none. That's hilarious. That doesn't mean that when David Fincher, continue with the article, guys. It doesn't mean when David Fincher made Chuck Palahniuk, whatever that now name is, 1996 novel into the brilliantly sick and twisted cult classic it is. He wasn't thinking about these things. The film is about the fragility of masculinity, men's mental health, and the way the two are interlocked. Oh. So this is the plot, right?
Okay.
Fight Club tells the story of an unnamed but nihilistic narrator played by Edward Norton. When he's not ordering IKEA furniture and wishing he was dead, our narrator goes to support meetings for problems he doesn't have. So he's basically an everyman.
Okay.
If you know what that means. He's an everyman. At these meetings, he encounters fellow meetings addict Marla, played by Helena Bonham Carter, good actor, and they forge a relationship. By day, he works in insurance for a car company, and on a trip to examine a car crash, meets Brad Pitt's character, the charismatic Tyler Durden. In the parking lot of a bar, Durden asks the narrator to punch him for absolutely no reason. This is how Fight Club, an underground sect of bored and frustrated men who beat the shit out of each other for fun, is born. Not before long, the club goes nationwide. The narrator can describe it as a terrorist organization. In quotes. Its goal to totally disrupt society and scare the shit out of people.
Well.
So that movie's message is basically you can take it too far, but I took that when I was, Also, Jared, we'll watch it, but spoiler alert, Tyler Durden is actually a figmentation of his mind. In the end, it's revealed that he actually, the main character, has DID, and he was just a alternate personality of his self.
Okay, that kind of makes sense with the clip we watched before.
Yeah.
That would kind of explain a little bit.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like why he's punching himself in that one scene.
Right. So that's the side of himself then Tyler, I guess is what he calls it. Maybe the side of himself that wants to be more masculine and more, manly and more, in control, I guess. So the reason why I love this movie so much is, yes, Joe, don't even make that joke again. I'm an incel, but seriously, the more reason I love this movie is like it gives the message that, listen, it's okay for men to be like rough and, be violent sometimes and be, you shouldn't shy that away.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Or?
I agree, because it's like it's a natural inclination for men to, be more violent than, how a woman would react to the same situation.
Right.
One example of that is like just driving, driving
faster than others.
Yeah, well, that's why insurance companies, whether you think it's fair or not, insurance companies will charge more money per month if you're a man than a woman.
They know
because
that they're more instinctual and...
Yet women don't take as many risks as men do. Hence, that's why men's life expectancy is not
much lower.
Yeah. So that's a big explanation there. And that's why the insurance companies charge a little more money, because they realize that men take a little bit more risk than women do. So they're like, you know what? Because we're assuming they're going to get in a crash over what a woman would. And then there's a whole nother joke though that men make up, and they're like, women can't drive. So make that make sense, right?
God, you terrible driving, Becky.
Yeah. In some ways that holds up, but
anyway, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I agree with what you were saying about when you're reading this Fight Club. I gotta watch it.
You want to watch it with me?
Yeah, maybe we could watch it sometime. It sounds interesting.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
It's just like it's.
You said it's one of the best movies of all time?
one of the best movies about masculinity.
Oh,
Of
okay.
all time,
I didn't get
yes.
to read
Yes.
what you sent me, but yeah.
It's like the most masculine movies, and that was number 5 out of 101. So
Wow.
yeah, it's awesome. It's amazing, dude.
Nice.
But it's just like, just to wrap that up, right?
Mhm.
It's, what are you supposed to do if you are a man, right?
Mhm.
And like it said in there, you have a bunch of frustrations and,
Kind of like a
work and me right now with McDonald's, like, just you're working for shitty money and like you're not getting anywhere in life. You feel like an everyman.
you need to go to one of those rage rooms
Right.
or a fight
Right.
club in case of this movie, but
Right. It's like there was a cathartic release of violence. It's a very, for men at least, it's very cathartic.
and then
That's
the
what
only
should be.
the only other women that go to these rage rooms are liberal women.
What?
And those are the ones that like
and they don't do it as good.
yeah. It's the blue hairs you see at these rage rooms. They Donald Trump got elected.
Well, they just scream at the sky.
Yeah, just wait until these 2024
He'll be
midterms
back,
roll around.
back again.
Or not 2024 midterms, the
election.
actual election.
The presidential
Midterms
election, yes.
is 2022.
Anyway, though. But yes.
Yes. So
Like I said, I just want to say, yeah, if you guys are feeling also like we've been saying, if you're feeling like masculinity is being pushed down and, feeling like you're not contributing enough to society, if you want freaking inspiration, either listen to Jordan Peterson or watch this movie. Because it's freaking awesome.
or both.
Yeah, both, yes.
Yeah, might as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think after knowing more about Jordan Peterson and what he stands for, it just, it makes me want to integrate his podcast into my listening schedule.
Do it.
'Cause,
do it. I've been doing it for a while, and you won't regret it, Joe. Let me just say that right now. You won't regret it.
Because like I said, I want to start, getting back into reading more, making that a priority to read at least a couple chapters of a book a night, just to try to, it's also good before bed too. It helps you wind down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's probably when I'll do the majority of my reading. Because throughout the day, it's either I'm working or, hanging out with my fiance or you, and, we're doing a podcast. So, there's not a whole lot of time for me to read throughout the day, but in the evening, but right before bed, I'll, try to pick up a book and read it. So I might pick up one of Jordan Peterson's books and also try listening to some of his podcasts, especially the Dragons, Monsters, and Men podcast. I want to at least start with that. And then intermingle that with my, political commentary that
you do with me.
Yeah.
And then we can sit down one night and watch this if you want.
Yeah, that sounds
Fight
fun.
Club, yeah. Yeah.
It's what manly men do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
that's all. I think that's all. That's it for this podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you have anything else in conclusion? Like, you want to just send out a message to other men that,
guys, other my recommendations, just listen, guys, hang in there. Like, we've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, okay? And this is something that we are supposed to do. We are supposed to be masculine. We're supposed to be, I don't think violence is the right word, but we're supposed to be, no, okay.
control?
We're supposed to be, yes.
Control, yeah.
We're supposed to be leaders, too. We're supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to lead people, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just
I know what you're trying to say. Trying to be leaders, but also be headstrong.
yeah.
And that's kind of where Jordan Peterson says, like, a controlled monster.
Yeah.
You got to be, that monster is what drives
Has to be
you
kept in his cage until the time to be let out.
What it is like you let a little bit of the monster out at a time. So it's like, that's what makes men leaders.
Yeah.
Leaders
if someone, like you were saying earlier, example, hits on your wife, you got to let that monster out of the cage to play for a second.
Yeah. Because I think,
They'd be like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
I need to put him back in his cage quickly.
And also, like, this...
until...
this-
else the police will be caught on you.
You know, and I talked about, you know, on a more personal note, like, I talked to you before the podcast, and we were just kind of discussing our, you know, struggle...
Do you feel comfortable talking about this? Joe?
Yeah, I mean, like,
Okay.
struggles in the, you know, work-life balances and stuff.
Okay.
Nothing
I thought
too
you meant,
crazy.
like, with your fiance and stuff. I thought you meant...
No,
Okay.
nothing like that.
Okay.
But...
Although I do have some advice for you after, which I think you'll love, but...
Okay. But, you know, we were kind of talking about, like, a workout schedule and stuff. Like, it's hard after a
Yes.
8-hour shift.
Yes! Well, for me, recently 10 hours, no joke.
Yeah, I've been working 10-hour shifts, you know, 4 days a week.
Yes.
Um,
I've been working 9 hours, 5 days a week. It's like,
that's crazy, dude. But,
it takes a toll on you, and then you don't feel like working out, do you?
yeah, you feel like you want to come home, take a nap, or just go straight to bed.
That doesn't get the ladies, though, in my case.
Yeah.
Well, in your case, it doesn't make your fiancé more attracted to you, I guess. In your case, but...
Well, and then she becomes increasingly concerned about me because she
Right.
thinks that I'm, you know, my mental health is declining and I'm not, you know, she becomes more concerned about me and, you know, I don't want her to be concerned. You know, and that's also kind of work-life balance thing. Like, I need to...
have a better work-life balance.
Yeah, I need to also push myself, you know, like, that as men, I think we need to push ourselves to do what we need to do.
Push ourselves past pain, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, like, after an 8 or 10-hour shift, you're tired. You want to come home, you want to sit
joints
down,
hurt, yeah.
watch TV, eat dinner, go to bed, repeat the next day. Well, you put yourself into that loop, and then
That's
before
how
you know it,
that's how you're following an leader.
before you know it, you're 30 pounds overweight, and you are a shadow of a man that you once were.
Right.
To put it bluntly, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want to keep your physique. You know, you want to continue to be strong.
Something
like
I've been wanting to do is gain physique, because
Yeah.
I wasn't born with it.
Right. And
I mean, I would love to have a body like The Rock, but I know I have to put in work, but it's hard.
right. That's the thing, dude. Like, for me, too, it's, you know, I'm trying to keep a workout schedule where I'm lifting weights when I come home from work or going on the treadmill. And, you know, I'm already dead tired because I've been running around, you know, like a chicken with its head cut off, you know?
At work, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm already, like, feeling like, well, I already got a lot of exercise today. And then I look at my Apple Watch, and it says I got, like, 10 hours of exercise minutes. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been running around all day.
Yeah.
But then again, my heart rate hasn't been up that much. I've been just
You
walking.
need to get your heart rate, yeah.
Yeah, I need to get my heart rate up.
Yeah.
That's what my Apple Watch is basing it off of,
Yeah.
not how much I've been walking.
Right.
It could be 15,000 steps, which is usually where I'm at on a normal work day. But
Usually
my workout,
12,000, yeah.
yeah, but then my move ring or my exercise ring is low. It's like, oh my God, I got my exercise ring or my move goal done, but not my exercise ring.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, so like I just want. It's also kind of addictive too. So if you guys need,
It is a motivator, yeah.
yeah, because if you guys get an Apple Watch, that's a huge recommendation for me personally. And we're not sponsored by Apple, but
Me too.
but
I recommend it too.
Aiden has the same feelings towards it because like it's addictive to have all those colors show up on your watch that
Like,
shows
yes,
like
I did another one.
yeah, and then you get like little awards at the end of the month or whatever if you complete like whatever the goal is. So they'll say like 20,000 steps a
or
day
whatever,
or whatever, or exercise once every or at least 5 days a week or something for the month.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, so it's a good motivator. So if you guys are struggling with, you know, work-life balance and stuff, that could be something that could help.
Mm-hmm.
That can help out.
Also, eating more. For me, personally.
Yeah, or
Diet is just as important as exercise.
yeah. So if you guys
if you don't have a good diet and you don't exercise, all that won't turn into muscle, it'll turn into fat.
yep,
So,
because you're eating an excess of food and it's got to go somewhere.
right.
But yeah, I think that's everything for this podcast, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yes.
We wanted to discuss this podcast for quite some time.
Yes.
You know,
and also, guys, I know we weren't supposed to talk about it, but I broke the rule. I broke the first rule.
what was that?
You don't talk about Fight Club.
Oh,
That's a quote in the movie. You'll know. when you
Gotcha.
see it, but it's
so
really awesome.
we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
See ya.